People always say it like as a positive thing, like I'm downsizing.
It wouldn't be as sexy if people said, well, I'm homelessing.
Right. Well, homelessing does smell of urine, and I don't know.
It has a reek to it.
I'm here with AI Eric, AI Snippins, Lishy, and today we're talking downsizing with friends who love to give each other the business. So our Snippins has come down with poison ivy, so I made an AI Snippins, and she's just going to say what she normally says anyway.
I ain't got nothing to say about downsizing. Bonus.
All right. So, Lishy, you have some downsizing situation that happened to you recently.
Yeah, I used to rent a house, and I decided I wanted to buy something in my neighborhood, and it's so cost prohibitive to actually buy a residence, a single family residence, that I ended up in a condo. It's not even a condo, it's a co-op, like you hear about in New York.
Is there an HOA and all that stuff?
Yeah, but it's run by the shareholders. I'm a shareholder, so I could go and run for the board if I wanted to. It means that the inhabitants of the place have some skin in the game.
What the hell is a co-op?
In a co-op, you buy a share of an organization that allows you the right to it.
Bonies, you are totally yawning in his face.
So, what was your downsizing process?
It was getting rid of a lot of stuff, and I'm sort of minimalist anyway. I don't collect and save and stow away. I'm not a hoarder. I'm the opposite of a hoarder. I'm anal repulsive.
The idea of accumulating things was kind of an 80s, 90s thing where you bought a tiger, then you bought a gold leash for your tiger, then you bought 2 tigers. Like, it was all about opulence. This idea that you should get more, and keep accruing these items. Now it sort of seems like that's gone away a bit. I know it isn't just COVID. This happened before COVID, but
no. It's been a trend.
COVID is more like an accelerant for all kinds of things. Like when I was working on movie stuff, we saw it slow down. Like, it was noticeable. But I think the idea of downsizing was also accelerated by COVID, where people all of a sudden lost jobs or work from home or remote. That just accelerated the trend that was already there as far as people wanting to downsize.
I don't think that's necessarily a choice for most of the downsizing that I see. I didn't have an option.
Well, some people do it by choice. I didn't do it by choice.
Right. And I think there's more, I mean, in my, I live in a pretty nice part of town, and
take it easy. Just relax. Are you relaxed? All right.
I live in a pretty nice part of town, and yet 2 blocks from me, there are Winnebagos parked in front of a Marriott.
Is that bad?
They're not parked there. They're not camping. They're homeless.
Oh, shit.
I hear the Marriott keeps it very hot.
In general, the costs have risen and outstripped the earning potential of anybody.
But I think it's more felt in places like New York or LA, these places that are expensive anyway, and then you get a little bit of a hit, then you're like, oh Jesus. Because people, like, when I was making a lot of money in LA, but I still felt like I was middle class. The cost of living was very high.
That's when you get out of Dodge. Bonus, mosey on down to greener pastures.
There are places like that in America where you could go, and that's sort of what people are doing with downsizing, is they're going to places that are boony.
I don't think it's people wanting to downsize. I think it's absolutely a necessity.
Well, I mean, you do hear stories of people saying, I sold my house, I got a tiny house, and I'm living off the land. But I mean,
I don't know anybody that's done that. Do you personally?
I think if you really look into the stories of these people, I mean, and they might say that, but there's some other reason. There's probably some other reason that would go what we would call you a need, like you had to do it. Like, I don't know if anyone would legitimately be like, I have a 4-bedroom house, I'm doing great, but I'm going to live in a shack for no reason. And I just don't think that that's a real thing. I mean, say it, but I don't think they really mean it.
I just think if it were all that prevalent, like if it was that normal, I would know somebody or know a guy who knew a guy. But I don't even know a guy who knows of a guy that whose manicurist uncle's brother, once removed, has a tiny house.
Yeah, let me get a pen because I want to write all this down. This is really great.
Downsizing has an emotional effect too. Bonus.
It hurts to do it. And there's that, of course, that change, that newness of having changed, and you feel like a loser, or that feeling like you feel like you failed or whatever. For me, I had to like disconnect myself from my occupation being me. I lost my identity. Like I didn't know who I was anymore.
You just described
Yeah.
are all feelings that I've had through this whole process at one time or another.
That's kind of important.
And then, that kind of stuff makes you feel like, you made some bad decisions. And
My goodness. Buck up, buckaroo.
Is that fair? You could do everything right and still get screwed, is what I'm saying.
yes,
I'm living in a ice cube. The Night's Watch is living better than I am, is what I'm saying to you. It's that cold.
as long as we're talking about Game of Thrones.
Oh no.
I was told to watch Game of Thrones because you get to see boobies and
do go on.
And there was so much violence that the trade-off wasn't there for me. I'm like, I had to watch a horse get gutted or a wolf get eaten by a bear just to see a couple of boobies and some girl who needed chapstick. It really the TCO, the ROI wasn't there for me.
Really?
There was some animal that was laid on a table and gutted open, and then some guy was banging this chick, and he had to beat up 25 people and ate his head, and they cut his head off and ate it, and then they had to drink blood out of somebody's skull, and then there was the small person guy who's like,
none of this actually happened. It's the symbol of the Baratheons, and it was foreshadowing that the Lannisters were going to destroy the house of the Baratheons when he butchered a stag while yelling at his son.
They could have done close on the stag and then pull up to the face of the guy that's doing the stagging. And
I'm sorry, the whatting?
Stagging, whatever that's what they call it when you stag somebody, when you cut open the stag for the Carpathians.
I'm pretty sure when they used to have projectors and rooms of men used to masturbate with each other, that was a stag party, but that is not at all what you're describing.
All right, well, whatever. I don't need to see the thing. I don't need to see
parties just for the younger people if they're watching. Before porn was, everywhere. You had to actually rent a projector and get porn on film, and then it was so expensive, only one person could really do it. And then you would get a room full of your friends, and you'd all watch a black and white porno apparently, and you'd all just spank it like in unison.
So just so that you can know how old I am,
before my time. So go
the
ahead.
very first porn that I saw,
yes,
is exactly how you described it, without the people around. But my first porn I saw on a Super 8.
So you actually were involved in a stag party.
Well, yeah, we'll just call it that. It was a darkened room.
Yes,
with
go on.
8mm black and white film of porn.
Now,
this is before VHS.
I know that, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm fascinated because it's like talking to a living. It's like going to Jurassic Park and finding a dinosaur that could speak with tiny arms. So when you were in this room of dudes and you're all watching the same black and white, filthy movie that's so disgusting you have to watch every frame of it twice. What do you all do? You just watch it?
Oh, you know what they did. Bonus. It was dude soup.
So Game of Thrones. Did you watch it till the end?
I couldn't get through it. I didn't want to see any more donkeys getting hacked open by the Carpathians because the Lancasters were going to have their banister on 4th of July.
Stag Lannisters. So I have tallied our votes, and feel free to write in the comments section who you think is never right in this episode.
You know what? If all it was banging and boobies, I would be totally okay with it.
You're never right.
I know what I saw.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want more content from the Never Right podcast.